Hey guys, it's me again. I wanted to do a kind of a follow-up video to the video that I did for the It Gets Better project because of the fact that there were several people that saw that video and wanted to know a little bit more about my experience with the ex-gay movement. So I haven't really ever talked to anybody with anybody about these experiences, but I wanted to just briefly share with you a little bit about what was entailed. Um, when I first started out with my involvement in this ministry, it was fairly calm, fairly nice seeming. It was just simply going to support group meetings, talking to other people who dealt with the same attractions and also wanted to get rid of them because, like me, they were Christians and they had been taught all their lives that God was against them and against these feelings, and in order for God to love them, they needed to get rid of these. So it started off with just meetings, and shortly thereafter progressed to the fact where the people in charge were telling us we needed to keep ourselves away from people of the same gender that we felt attracted to. Not a real easy thing to do in a co-ed college. I ended up essentially being a recluse for several weeks as a result of this, and finally came to the realization I can't be cutting classes, I can't be not going to the cafeteria, I'm not living my life. So found out that wasn't working, and in hindsight that should have been my first tip that things were a little bit fishy. Unfortunately, it got much worse than that before I ever came to the realization that this just wasn't working. A big part of this particular ex-gay movement, and sadly so many of them, is something called aversion therapy, whereby individuals that are trying to rid themselves of same-sex attractions, or in some cases with other ministries, other things, try to do things to their body in an effort to dissuade themselves from becoming aroused by the ones that they are not wanting to be aroused by. This started off in a very, very scary way with the use of large ice cubes. When somebody of the same sex caused us arousal, we were to douse and hold very, very sensitive portions of our bodies in ice in an effort to literally cool ourselves off. Now, this obviously did not work. I was still bisexual. I am still bisexual to this day. I'm still attracted to women and men. The thought process behind it was this experience will be so uncomfortable that you will eventually somehow stop having these feelings that lead to this experience. It didn't work. What it did do was make it so that to this very day, some of you that know me in real life know I still very, very infrequently will have ice in drinks. To this day, I'm uncomfortable with it. To this day, it brings all of that back. Another thing that many of us did was a form of self-injury that often got to the point of off the deep end. Once we found that we were getting attracted or aroused by somebody of the same gender, we would inflict pain on ourselves, again in an effort for the aversion therapy to make it so that this didn't happen. Our leaders really intended this to just be something simple like a jolt on the arm or a pinch, just something to kind of jolt us out of feeling those feelings, out of getting aroused. However, there are many of us, myself included, that were so invested in this, so dedicated to the desire to get rid of this feeling, to get rid of these sexual feelings that we were having toward people of the same sex, that it went much further than it ever needed to, and many became self-injurers for a number of years, myself included. It progressed from simple pinching to digging skin out of your arms with your fingernails. It progressed from just a simple thump on the arm to burning with a cigarette lighter. All just to make these feelings go away, all just to make it so that when we had these stimuli that we had, in our views, negative responses to, we'd stop having those negative responses out of so not wanting to have this bad thing happen. Thankfully, after 8 months of the most intense portions of this, the self-injury, the ice treatments, I finally realized that it wasn't changing anything. And I got out of the movement, thankfully, although not without a lot of guilting and a lot of painful experiences from the individuals that were still involved with it. My reason for sharing this with you guys is twofold. One, I hope that it sheds some light on the things that really go on in ex-gay movements, so that hopefully, especially so many of the youth watching, will decide not to go that route, will realize it for the sham that it is. But also for those of you out there that have family members that have been through this, for maybe you to be able to have your eyes opened a little bit to what some of our experiences are, and to realize that our sexual orientation, though by no means is it anything to be ashamed of, anything to be upset about, is not something we chose. And for so many of us, it's something that we've tried so hard our whole lives to change, to get rid of. We want to be society's definition of normal, at least at some point in our lives. I stopped wanting that a long time ago because normal's overrated and I don't know what it is anyway. But I'm just hoping that maybe sharing a little bit about that will help you guys to come to an understanding of some experiences that people go through, and realize that there are others out there that share your pain, that share your experiences, and that will be there with you along the way, and that are going to be there to talk and to support you and who love you. So thanks a lot for listening, you guys.